Heartbreak. That's the nothing personal word of the day. It is Monday, September 8th, 2025. Week one of the NFL season is just about in the books. One more game. The weeks all meld together. This week started Thursday. It's already Monday. And by the way, week two starts in 3 days. Heartbreak is how everybody feels watching Sunday night's game. Who's a Baltimore Ravens fan? It was the game of the weekend. It is hard to argue that. Once you got done watching a day of football, which we'll talk about, a day of baseball, which was fascinating, a day of tennis, which was quite staggeringly fun to watch. You sit down, you get ready for a game, and you go into a Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Bills, Ravens grudge match to the death, knowing that someone's going to come out of this with heartbreak. What an amazing thing sports is when you have the situation where it's so binary. If you're neutral, you didn't watch the game, or you don't care, then you're not a football fan. If you're a football fan, you're watching that game. If you have no investment in the outcome, that means you don't play fantasy, you're not betting on the game, you're not a fan of a team that they compete against in their division. However, let's say you're just an NFC person, then maybe you can watch the game and not feel heartbreak if you are a Baltimore Ravens fan. But I don't see it. I don't see the path. When you read about statistics that define the unlikely, it's very much confirmation bias because, yeah, it seems crazy that the Ravens blew a 15-point lead with under 5 minutes to go. It seems crazy. And you think to yourself, I can't believe what I'm watching. This doesn't happen. And you'd be right. It doesn't happen. 2,315 games have been played this century when teams were down by 15 or more points in the final 4 minutes. That means that there were every blowout. If you're up 55-0 with 4 minutes, that counts. If you're up 16-1, that counts. 15 or more points. When you're winning by that and you've got 4 minutes to go, you're going to win the game. Except 3 times. 3 times. The Buffalo Bills are one of 3 teams, 3 games, down 15, win the game, under 4 minutes to go. The new record, it used to be 2 and 2,315. Now it's 3 and 2,315. I'm not saying the Powerball odds are better, but it's damn close. That's not it. What the Bills just did. How about of all the home openers that happen? How many home openers are there per season? Would you guess, Coca? If you had a guess, the number of home opening games played per season. I think you'd have to calculate the number of teams in the NFL, and you'd say, 32 teams, they all get to play at home. In theory, at some point, that would be a home opener. Well, do you know how many times someone in their home opener has overcome a 15-point deficit in the final 4 minutes of the fourth quarter to win their season opener? Guess how many times? 0. I love it. How can you not tip your cap to the greatness that is football when you see the best game of the weekend in advance? It's chosen as the best weekend. It's given the Sunday night time slot purposefully. Now, there was a reason the Chargers, Chiefs opened in Brazil. There's obviously the reason Eagles win the Super Bowl. They do the Thursday nighter. I get it all. There's a reason the Lions Packers were in the afternoon CBS slot. Good, fine. The prime time game, that was the one to focus on. When I see a 41-year-old coming up, lining up to make a game-winning field goal kick, I must admit to you, because I'm not ashamed of it, I did not focus on the fact that he had been signed on Thursday and he was an injury replacement. Didn't think anything of it. For those of you playing fantasy, my guess is you knew. I did not. So a replacement kicker, though not during a work stoppage, but for all intents and purposes, a replacement place kicker. Nails the game-winning field goal after watching incredulously Josh Allen have 251 passing yards in the fourth quarter. Never seen that. Watching Derrick Henry unable to get stopped and then fumbling. Football is an amazing sport, and we all watch it for myriad reasons, which we've outlined before. But what I love the violence. I love the skill. I love the beauty. I love the fact that you just don't know what's going to happen no matter how much predictive behavior exists with pregame shows and odds analysts and everyone telling you, here's my pick of the day. Here's my pick of the day. Here's what's going to happen. And you just don't know what you're going to see. I have a quick note for Ravens fans, because as you may recall, the odds of a team going to the Super Bowl following a 0-1 start are no different than the odds going to a Super Bowl with a 1-0 start. You will read that only 22% of teams who have been in the Super Bowl started 0-1. I don't care what you read. I can find a stat for anything. Just give me 5 seconds and I'll do confirmation bias faster than you can say, holy crikeys, the Bills just won that game. But if you are a Ravens fan, you have no reason to believe that you are not the best team with the Bills in the entire AFC. And come playoff time, and yes, I'm ignoring the Chiefs. I am. You can't tell me that if you were starting a team today, you would start it with the Chiefs and not the Bills or Ravens. The Bills or Ravens are a better team on both sides of the ball. Notwithstanding that Joey Bosa, the new Buffalo Buff, said, man, we got to work on the fact that we gave up 40 points. Yeah, you do. On the other hand, that's Lamar Jackson. That's the MVP of the league. Sorry, 4869. That's Lamar Jackson, the first team All-Pro of the league. The MVP of the league is the one who threw for 251 yards in the fourth period. It's one game. The thing about overreactions that makes me smile, and boy, do I love it. I do. I mean, how do you not watch what the Dolphins did yesterday? And if you have any connectivity to South Florida, whether you like the Levitard show, whether you read the Miami Herald or Sun Sentinel, or you just watch from afar as what looks like a state going to hell, whatever the case may be, I took great pleasure in reading all the columns after the Dolphins game yesterday. Total, absolute disgust, panic. It wasn't even heartbreak. That's not the word of the day for the Dolphins. The Dolphins got absolutely crushed by the Colts. But it was a double whammy because Florida, Dolphins, New York, always connected. Miami, New York, connected. Miami loses to a quarterback that used to play for the Giants, who stunk for the Giants, all of a sudden goes to the Indianapolis Colts, and other than Dominique Foxworth, not one person was giving the Colts respect unless you had the Colts as your pick of the day, unless you had that. So Daniel Jones stinks as a Giant, in one game as a Colt, seems to be some sort of Cy Young winner. The guy scores on 7 of 7 possessions. Does not happen often. Wait a minute, let me think about it. The first quarterback this century to score on every possession of a game. They scored on every possession. This is the Indianapolis Colts. It's true the Miami Dolphins were going to have secondary issues. It's true the Miami Dolphins had an over-under in a way that makes you realize they're just bad. We're sorry. But this game was even more spectacular to me because, A, anytime that I can get sound of a coach post-game that makes me laugh, that to me is a winning game. Listen to what Mike McDaniel sounded like after the Dolphins got crushed by the Indianapolis Colts.
Something that it was left to be desired. I think it's definitely not all on him. There's just throws that I know he makes 9 times out of 10, and he didn't make them today. But that being said, it's hard to play quarterback when you have surprise pressures, meaning that they're blitzing, but you think it's accounted for, and then somebody doesn't pick it up, or you have people coming out the huddle the wrong way when they had been nailing it for a week on a week plus, really, stuff we've been working on. So, it's like the rest of the team, I would say, but definitely not all on him at all. There's too many people that failed at their execution of their jobs for him to even have any extra on his shoulders.
Boy, does it stink for a coach when you have to say, when you're trying to explain away your quarterback's performance, which was horrific. Tua just 14 of 23 for 114 yards, a TD, 2 interceptions. He fumbled the ball. He got sacked. He just looked terrible. And I could argue semi-persuasively he's looked terrible way more than he's looked good. I could argue even more persuasively that the Dolphins are now victim of the contract that they gave to Tua. And side note for all of you thinking that Tua is going to be let go, no chance, toilet pants. Way too much dead cap money for Stephen Ross to appreciate or like. He wants to spend the money and win games, although he has not been able to at all since he bought the team all those decades ago. But when you are a coach and by defending a player, what you have to do is throw every other player under the bus, it's a tough thought. So after a game like that, I'm as president of the Dolphins, I got to go down and talk to McDaniel. I got to go talk to Chris Greer, the GM, because we just got thoroughly embarrassed. And when you get embarrassed in the Miami market as a Miami Dolphin, and it's week 1 of a season, and you've got an entire, so much green in front of these teams, 16 more games, you need some talking points. It used to be when Mike McDaniel was hired that Mike McDaniel was this boy genius, this boy wonder, quirky but amazingly smart, knows something we don't know. Do you know how quickly that reputation turns to incompetence and weird and strange and why is he coaching? It happens fast, and it's happening to Mike McDaniel right now. People are calling for him to lose his job toot sweet, like immediately. The thing is this. If you have a game where you have prepared your team to play and they get just beaten in every way, that sometimes can just be a tip of the cap. But if you know, and believe me, Chris Greer knows, Mike McDaniel knows, if you know that you were out-prepared, outworked, and that was a contributing factor to you getting blown out, that's a tougher cure. If you've reset your team, if you had low expectations for your team, which the books had with their team over-under, you know you're going to lose games. But what you're preaching to your players is we're going to lose games if we're going to lose them by playing the game the right way. We are not going to beat ourselves. If we get beaten by a better team, fine. But beaten by ourselves, and that is what the Dolphins looked like in yesterday's game. Like the Keystone Cops. Didn't know which way was up. It looked like play calling was bizarre. There were penalties that I've never seen. 12 men in a huddle. I don't think I recall seeing that penalty when they were trying to score or had scored their first touchdown. I just don't recall that level of discipline. Somehow there were catches that were called non-catches that looked totally reviewable, and it's like McDaniel was asleep at the switch of his red challenge flag. These are things you look for as a team president or as a GM more so than the score. So what it means for Mr. McDaniel, he's out of rope. I don't want to call next week a must win for the Dolphins because any week 2 is not a must win. But I'm ready to give you, Coca, right now, my wait to see. The official wait to see for today's show. And that's when we tell you something's going to happen. If it does, great. If it doesn't, fine. We will revisit it. For those new to the show, we are accountable with our picks of the day, our wait to sees, and they're all on a document at davidsamsonpodcast.com. You can find them all. Every wait to see we've ever done since we started the show. Well, the one for September 8th, Mike McDaniel will not coach the Dolphins week 1 of next season. That's an easy way to see, isn't it? Because it doesn't mean he's going to get fired right now or in 2 weeks or in 4 weeks. It may not be till after the season, but the wait to see is that he is not the coach next season. Now, Stephen Ross is looking toward next week as the Dolphins take on the Patriots. The Patriots to the Dolphins are what the Mets were to me. You don't want to lose to them under any scenario because when you do, people tend to lose their jobs. Could it be if they get crushed and spanked by the Patriots that will be the final straw in the McDaniel era in Miami? I still say not, because what Chris Greer will say, the GM to the owner, Steve Ross, don't fire him. It'll take way too long to get everyone back up to shape. We'll waste another 3-4 weeks. Let's just see how the season revolves. Let's develop some of our young guys, and let's get ready for next season. At which point, if I'm Stephen Ross, I say, great idea. You're fired too, Chris. I like it when teams are supposed to stink, and then when they do stink, the coach has this sort of look of surprise, this look of dismay. We talked about it a little bit with the Dolphins. We got to talk about the Giants. Brian Daboll, I love the guy. I just can't. I just can't. What's he talking about? The Giants got crushed by the Commanders. The Giants have a new quarterback. Good old Sierra's husband is the quarterback for the Giants. The old switcheroo. Fields, gone. Jets, Rodgers, no thank you. Steelers. Wilson, bye. No longer buying a house in Denver or Pittsburgh. How about New York, New York? Sierra and the kids love it. It's a great plan. Except I just realized when I looked in the mirror, when I see myself as the Super Bowl winning quarterback of the Seahawks, and then I get to the field, and all of a sudden I'm reminded I am old. I am ineffective. Russ Wilson has been this way except for a short little burst, one particular moment in Denver. But other than that, he's mediocre. If in today's world you go 17 for 37 for 168 yards, that is NGE, baby. Not good enough. So the Giants lose 26 to the Commanders. They didn't score a touchdown again. That's 3 straight week 1s without a touchdown. Forget a victory, which they don't have, without a touchdown. That hasn't happened in roughly forever. So, of course, Brian Daboll has to meet the media after the Giants lose, and Russell Wilson is so bad. The first thing the New York Football Giants do is they go up to their QB2, Jackson Dart, and they say, sorry, just know, you can't talk to the media today. That used to be a real thing that we would do with players before social media, before they all had their own platform, before they all didn't need a beat reporter to ask them a question. They could directly talk about whatever they wanted to on their channels or write to a video camera that's run by the team who's recording for social video. There's so many ways. So many ways. Why the Giants told him not to talk to the media is beyond me. Now, of course, Coke, I may have gotten that wrong. There's a chance that Dart was not told that, but I was reported it was, and I didn't check the source. You're right, Coca. There is a chance that happened. But on the small chance that the Giants actually went up to their QB2 and said, man, we just got crushed by a better team, and our quarterback won, the one taking the reps, the one over you, yikes. But we're not going to pull a plug that quickly, so we don't want you to rush things along, so don't talk to the media. By the way, what would Dart say to the media? Hi, I'm the backup quarterback for the Giants, and as you can see, I deserve to be the starting quarterback because our starting quarterback is absolutely terrible. When's the last time you heard a player do that? That's what you leak. That's what you get your agent to get to the beat reporters or to get to other outlets by saying, hey, this guy Dart, he's ready to roll. Hey, that guy Wilson, he's old and ineffective. We weren't born yesterday as a front office. We saw these articles being written or notes being written about certain minor league players or certain big league players who are on the bench or certain pitchers who are swing guys who want to be starters. Always, there's all sorts of little chirping about what we're missing as a front office. You think the front office is purposely trying to go under their win total of 5.5? Hey, I got an idea. I put a lot of money on the under, baby. We got to go 5-12. To go 5-12, this is a game for sure you got to lose. You got to get swept in the season series by the Commanders. Ovs. Swept by the Eagles. Ovs. We want to try to beat the Cowboys once, for sure. And we'll take some other losses as they come. But we're going to hit the under. Come on. You know that's not happening. But Brian Daboll said, hey, we're talking about after the game about a quarterback change. We'll go back, evaluate the tape. This is literally the coach talking after the game, after his team loses exactly the way they were going to lose all season. But anyway. And then he did the regular great coach. The coach is when you get up in front of a camera, a microphone after a game, and you say that, I got to be better. The coaches have to be better. The front office has to be better. The players have to be better. The only thing they don't mention during that litany of things that have to get better, fans. You guys never have to get better because you are eternally sick. You'll never get better. Luckily, Brian Daboll said he's got confidence in Russ. It's not on Russell Wilson because that was the first question asked. Well, if it's not on Russell Wilson, why are you putting the kibosh on Dart talking to the media? Come on. Of course it's Russell Wilson. What exactly were you thinking? I know what we were thinking. The over-under for the New York Giants is 5.5. That means if they outperform to the upside, they go 6-11. Big whoop. 6-11 gets you home after game 17 anyway, under any scenario. It's better than the other New York team. Being a New York football fan, have we not discussed how bad it is? There have been great moments. The Giants have provided you great moments. The Jets, when I was 1 year old, provided a great moment. They had a little blip in the Mark Sanchez years in the teens. Other than that, they're no different than the Marlins. Maybe, wait a minute, way worse. The Marlins have 2 World Series rings. 2 in the past 28 years. The Jets, wait for it. Wait a little more. Now, 0. I was watching the Steelers-Jets game. I was hate watching. I admit it. I'm a hate watcher. I am hating on Aaron Rodgers. I want him to fail in Pittsburgh. But what's true is true. He had one heck of a game. He threw 4 touchdown passes. He threw for 250-plus yards. He looked confident. He looked happy. He didn't look like his normal grumpy self. Everything was fine. The Jets are up by 9 entering the 4th quarter. The Jets are going to get a win. Jets fans are finally going to feel like they've got a shot at something. And that was it. The Steelers outscored them 17-6 in the 4th quarter and won on a 60-yard field goal. Before I get to what Rodgers said after the game, a 60-yard field goal used to mean something. Now it's as boring as watching the snow melt on a disappearing glacier. Wow, I got to pay extra for this sort of depression? I should have gotten an inside cabin. 60 yards. Do you remember George Blanda, the place kicker? Nailing. Like if you're in the 50s, you're doing great. What about Tom Dempsey, my favorite field goal kicker? Google him. Look him up. I didn't prepare for this, Coca, because I just thought of him now. Tom Dempsey used to have a club foot. He would kick the ball straight on, not diagonally, and he'd kick it with the front of his flat club foot. And my, oh my, it was like a 3-wood. The guy was kicking for distance. But all of that is child's play. It's just child's play. This kicker for the Pirates. Hi, my name is David Samson. The kicker for the Pittsburgh Steelers, whose name obviously escapes me, but we will insert here in future iterations of this show. So the Pittsburgh Steelers place kicker entered the game needing a 60-yard field goal to win. And stupid me thinking, God, that's a reach. And then I see the stats. The guy doesn't miss from 52 and beyond. He's like 24 of 27, the greatest career percentage. The guy's got a foot that you can't believe. So Boswell lines up, kicks it. That damn thing would have been good from 75 yards. It was like it was off a tee. It changes the entire way you've got to play football. The fact that these field goal kickers are so good now. You've got to figure out on defense, you're trying. It's like one first down, you're in field goal range. And the new kickoff rules make it so that everybody's returning kicks. They're getting the ball average. I didn't do an average yesterday, Coca, but more times than not, they got back to the 30 or the 31-yard line. Therefore, if you can get 15 yards, in theory, you're in field goal range. Now, I grant you that that would be a long field goal, but this guy Boswell, he literally had 10 yards to spare on his 60-yard field goal. So I thought Aaron Rodgers would leave the game and meet the media, and that maybe, for the love of God, one time, Rodgers would be charming, he'd be nice, he'd be appreciative. Listen to his tone. And if you're watching on the Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube channel, hit subscribe right now. Thank you. And watch Aaron Rodgers postgame.
You spoke about the meeting with Aaron Glenn on McAfee a few months ago. Beating him, is there significance in that, since he basically told you to your face that he didn't think you were right for that team?
Yes, that's what he did.
So there's significance in beating him for you?
I was happy to beat everybody associated with the Jets.
I can't believe the trainer got such shrapnel, or the traveling secretary. Everybody, what about the CFO? Do you have something against the CFO? I feel like your check's cleared every 2 weeks. I feel like you shouldn't have anything against the owner. You made a fortune getting paid not to play, and when you played, you were fine, but the team was terrible. Everybody associated. Is that because you didn't want to name names? Is that because you felt that there was too many people to name who were so bad to you in New York? Go ahead, tell me who they were. Aaron Glenn, because he didn't get a job? I know a thing or two about not getting a job. It happens. I don't know, Coca. I was summarily offended by the Aaron Rodgers tone. I've got nothing to say about anything. Well, all evidence is always to the contrary with you. You always have a lot to say. I don't understand why he's so hurt by the Jets. What was the outcome that he would have liked better when he signed for the Jets and tore his Achilles 4 plays into his Jets career as he continued to get older? I'm just curious. You would have preferred not to fly to New York? My bad. And it is true. Side note here, Coca. If Rodgers was not going to be the starting quarterback and he was meeting with Aaron Glenn and Joe Douglas and whoever else, Woody Johnson, and you know that you're getting rid of him, you could have flown to him. Grant you, I didn't love flying to fire employees, but I've done it. You don't love to fly to an off-season place with a player and say you're not coming back. You'd like to have made that decision earlier, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. There's so many more games that happened yesterday, Coca, but we're going to stop right now because NFL all day long, Lionel Richie, I'm still watching a movie. It's time for the review. It's true, whether it's football season or not, I'm going to want to watch a movie because I love it. And it could be a TV show or an episode or a couple episodes, but there's some level of content that is going to be put into my belly. I told you I would watch Sorry Baby. I want to explain this movie to you. First of all, if you're a fan of Billions, there's someone named, do you remember the really smart character? She was the analyst. She was played by an actress named Eva Victor. Very, very tall. Not the shorter one who ends up sort of taking over Billions, sort of. I'm talking about the associate. But anyway, check the movie. It's called Sorry Baby. Couple of things to note. If you don't have kids, that's okay. Don't feel strange about not having kids. It doesn't need to be excused. It doesn't need to be explained. You have every right to not procreate and to live a life that allows you complete freedom of stress. I love having my kids. But man, when you're only as happy as your least happy kid and you've got multiple kids, there's going to be a lot of times you're unhappy. The thing about this movie is that Eva Victor, who wrote this and directed it, I believe, it is an amazing character study about someone who went through a trauma as a young person and how that trauma manifested itself. So what you'd say is, that's an old theme. And what I would tell you is the way it's treated in this movie, with the subtlety of relationships that the girl has with other men, with other women. The script is very, very well written. The movie is shot in a way that reminds you that adult movies can still be made. Sorry Baby is a movie not for the faint of heart. It's not scary. There's no jump scares. There's no horror. Unless, of course, you believe in what the greatest horror is of all. The horror of unhappiness. The horror of pity. The horror of fear that your life is passing before your very eyes in a narrative that you had not planned. If that makes you feel fearful, you will feel fearful watching this movie. And that may motivate you to get back on the path. That is the movie. It's called Sorry Baby. I am not sorry I watched it. Today I'm going to watch a movie called Thursday Night Murder Club. One of my greatest, oldest fans suggested I watch this. Thank you, Mom. Thursday Night Murder Club. Yes, I'm going to watch it today. It's on the flicks. Tomorrow we will have a guest. But Wednesday is another So You Want to Talk to Samson Wednesday. The reason why it excites me to have these Wednesday shows is that now you're a participant. I don't just read questions, I listen to questions. So please, 631-377-4869. If you have any sort of question that you want to be in the show for the second hour on Wednesday, dial that number. 631-377-4869. Leave a voicemail. You may make the show. I love the Packers. You know that. They were second to me always to the New York Giants, but now they're first. When I got robbed of my fanhood by being in sports for all those years, and I lost the ability to be a true fan, to feel the heartbreak that people feel after a loss. I do not feel that anymore. I felt it too much for real with the 1,000 games I lost over the course of my career. But I was watching the Packers game, and I was thinking about Micah Parsons, and I was thinking about the Lions and how it was only, was it 1 year ago, Coca, that the Lions were like 16-1 or 15-2? And favored to, they got the bye. The thought was they were going to go to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl. I can't remember what year it was, but I think it may have been last year. And they were totally disappointed when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Well, guess what? The Lions go into this season with Dan Campbell thinking to himself, am I now a victim of my own success? How do I get through the fact that we built something fantastic in Detroit. And when you build something fantastic, you're going to get poached. Too many companies are afraid to lose employees, and I have the opposite view. If an employee leaves you to do something else on his own, or leaves you to do something else with another team, that's a compliment to you, not an insult. The compliment is that you have the ability to train, you have the ability to win, you have the ability to hire, all of the great things that you do. It's how coaching trees start. Dan Campbell lost his offensive coordinator, who's now coaching the Bears. His defensive coordinator is now coaching the Jets. Campbell's sitting there thinking, wow, those guys were important, I know, but we got to be better than this. Or is our window of greatness already closed? And that's what I was thinking watching the Packers-Lions game. The Lions were the talk of the town, the toast of the ball. Everything was coming up, roses for them. And you want to overreact with a win or a loss in game one, week one. We'll do it right here with the Lions and with the Packers, because Micah Parsons and the Packers, they just seem dominant. And remember, Micah Parsons just joined the Cowboys. That's incorrect. 4869. Remember, Micah Parsons just joined the Packers. He had some very, very funny quotes about joining the Packers. Have you ever thought about when you've watched a game, because I thought about this all the time, and then I was in a position to find out the answer, which was cool. Have you ever thought about players? It happens in baseball in the dugouts. It happens in the NBA upon lineup introductions. I've not seen it as much in football, but that may be because I'm not paying attention to it. But I'm talking about the handshakes, the special handshakes where you go clap, clap, lock fingers, roll your eyes, twirl your finger, fist pump, and then do a dab to the left, and then an eye roll to the right, and then turn around doing the hokey pokey and whatever. And how each player has a different one with every different player. And you think to yourself, how do you remember that? So one time I asked one of my players and got the greatest response. Do you remember a play? Wait a minute. Why do I have to remember it? He's still playing. Miguel Rojas is on the Dodgers currently. I'd spoken to Miguel Rojas about this, and he had a very funny answer. He said, how do you memorize so many songs? How do you remember so many business deals? That's it. I don't know how to disagree with that. I remember a ton of stuff that's totally ridiculous to remember. I have no idea why that's in my brain. But there's no question that if I allocated time in my brain to remember a handshake with the left fielder, handshake with the starting guard, handshake with the starting pitcher, handshake with the quarterback and the wide receiver, I'd come up with it and remember it. Micah Parsons was not taught the handshakes. He wasn't taught what the Packers defense does before a game. And I thought that it was outstanding. And the reason why I thought it was outstanding is that it was so real. So real that when you come to a new team the way Micah did to the Packers, and you've got back issues, and you're going to not play all the snaps, but you got to learn the playbook, but you can't learn the playbook that quickly because you haven't had enough practices. Then you go in the game, you're not sure where to line up. The coach says, line up right there and sack the quarterback. All right, I'll do that. Micah Parsons got a sack. Just be you. We'll worry about the play calls later. We'll worry about your teammates' names later, your uniform numbers later. We'll worry about it all. Just go play. Well, wait a minute, coach. I don't really understand the playbook. No problem. Coach, I don't know the handshakes with my team. No problem. Coach, are you sure that my back can handle this? Hey, we just gave you the shots. No problem. All right, coach, put me in. I'm ready to play. Of course, Parsons had to meet the media after. Just had to. I'm telling you, Parsons said these last 6 months were super draining, super toxic for everyone. It's something that I don't think no player should have to go through. I think players' fate should be decided earlier. I think the fact that I was traded a week before the season was outrageous and rough. I'm trying so hard today, Coke, on a Monday. I really am. I want to come out right now with a statement that says, Micah Parsons, you nailed that. We need to do better by you if we're going to trade you. We need to do it earlier so you have all the time in the world to get acclimated, to choose a school system, to figure out what you're going to do with your family, to figure out your living situation so you don't have to stay in Appleton. My bad. Should have been done way earlier. Give me a break. You want earlier trade deadlines? You want earlier deadlines for roster movement or an end to a roster transfer portal akin to what you're going to see in college? You want that? Bargain it. Great. Demand that your holdout has to end by, pick the date, August 1st. Great. Because whatever leverage you had by doing a holdout, whatever leverage you think you have by not playing, disappears because you're up against a deadline that is August 1st. From the team standpoint, I never would care about a deadline. To me, deadlines always work because I'm able to blink. You're not. You've got a whole year passing you by of a career. You've got a whole notion that your horizon is not as deep as mine. No problem. I thought that it was weak of Micah Parsons to talk about that, though I did find it outstanding that at the end of warmups, Parsons was left in the dark. He didn't know what the handshakes were, as I was telling you before. I love that. I really do. The Packers are good. Could it be? Could it be Packers, Eagles, Ravens, Bills? Will it work out that that's the Final Four? Week 1 overreaction would tell you, yeah, that seems about right. But week 2 starts in like 20 minutes. Nothing personal pick of the day. We have plenty to talk about with the Nothing Personal Picks of the Day. As you may recall, we had a weekend full of picks. We started with the Chiefs on Friday, giving 3 to the Chargers. That did not win. I started making a list yesterday, and I shouldn't have. It's not a great list. I was doing a bunch of cleaning, Coca, and I just felt like this was the time I wanted. First football Sunday, wanted to get organized, wanted to make some lists. I was coming up with who is my favorite quarterback, and I don't mean like as a fan. Who would be my favorite quarterback who I want to start my team? I tried to come up with Patrick Mahomes because I wanted to come up with Patrick Mahomes because he's been so damn successful so early. But today, would you rather have Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen? I think it's clear. Would you rather have Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson? I think it's clear. I don't see a scenario where Patrick Mahomes is anything other than the third best quarterback in football, and that's at best. This is not because I lost my pick of the day. This is not because the Chiefs lost and schlepped all the way to Brazil. What a nightmare. Roger Goodell doesn't mention this with international games. One of the things that unions have a hard time with, which is why in baseball they try to get the split as much as possible, even though the Cubs got swept in Korea to start the year. This year, Japan, wherever it started, the Cubs lost 2 to the Dodgers. The Brewers did. And I've totally forgot the beginning of the season, Coca. Come on. How did the baseball season start this year? The Dodgers were in a foreign land and they won 2 games. Who did they play in Japan with Sasaki? Who? The Cubs. So I had it right. Dodgers started 2-0. Cubs started 0-2. You schlep all the way to Japan. You face Yamamoto and Sasaki. You come home having lost games. Owners don't like it. They bring that up in owners' meetings. They bring that up inside quiet international committee meetings. They bring up the fact that their players are schlepping. They want to come back with something. The problem in the NFL is there's no such thing as moral victories in a 17-game season. The Chiefs have to fly back from Brazil with nothing. So we lost that one. Did you see what happened Saturday in the baseball game? Can we just for a second remind you about Saturday's pick of the day, which was the Baltimore Orioles over Los Angeles Dodgers? Can I remind you that my phone rang and said, David, can you be ready to go on the air? Yamamoto is 3 outs away from a no-hitter. And I said, haven't showered. I don't think so. But let me know if it's a no-hitter. 1 out. 2 outs. Last batter. Jackson Holiday squares up Yamamoto on his 112th pitch or so, and boom. It's horrible to lose a no-hitter with 2 outs in the ninth. It's horrible to lose a shutout no-hitter with 2 outs in the ninth. But what's really horrible is what happened next, which is the Dodgers, they were up 3-1 after the no-hitter got crushed. No one on. You know my thing. When I'm down 3 runs in the ninth inning, I don't want to lead off home run. I don't. I want to rally. I want the people thinking, all right, keep the train moving. A single here, a double here, a single and a triple. And then as the final, go deep, I'm in. But as an initial 2 outs, no one on, down 3, a 1-run home run, I'm sorry, it's 3-1, 2 outs, no one on. I don't like my chances, although Tanner, I'm never going to be ready. Scott, though I'm always going to be able to pay for dinner. He blew it again. Runner on, comes in the game, hit, walk off. We won a pick of the day with that. We had the Orioles in a plus money situation on Saturday, down 3-0. If you were live betting that game, I should have stuck with my pick of the day. I'll bet the Orioles were plus 1,000, plus 5,000, whatever they were with 2 outs, no one on, and a no-hitter going. But that's how it works. Every once in a while, that happens. And the Orioles were able to beat the Dodgers. Sunday was Corbin Day. Yep, that did not work out. Corbin pitched well, and the Rangers beat the Astros. Framber Valdez is probably just costing himself dollar after dollar in free agency with his ineffectiveness on top of his absolute outwardly behavioral problem with his catcher. The Astros cannot win with Valdez. They just can't win with them. They've won 1 of Valdez's last 7 starts. 1. That doesn't mean Valdez has 1 win. That means the team. It's like they weren't even tied and then all of a sudden would win, and Valdez got an ND. His last 7 starts, they're 1-6. It's pathetic. We lost. But then we had the Colts. Yes, we did. We had the Colts minus 1.5. Who didn't take the Colts? I'm just curious. Daniel Jones, hero. We don't need another hero. We just need to know the way home. Well, Daniel Jones was in the Thunderdome, and it worked out. So we are 120 and 115. I got 2 picks for you tonight. I am not going to stop with Woo and the Mariners. I'm not stopping. Yes, it's heavy. They're minus 224. The Mariners are desperate. They had a great game yesterday. They won 18-1. The Mariners need to get Woo to win a second game in a row. And we are taking the Vikings over the Bears in a Monday night game where the Bears will be spending time wondering, is this it for Soldier Field? Are we ready for Arlington? What are we going to do? Meanwhile, the Vikings and Ziggy, not Stardust, but Wilf, the owner, are going to be excited to start their season with a chance at doing what they couldn't do last year, which is do anything in January, February. Those are your 2 picks of the day. We are done with our 1, but guess what? After a short break, we got way more to talk about. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. It is hour 2 of day 1 of the week that begins on September 8th and ends on September 12th. It's Monday. Still reeling right now. I can't remember, Coca. Did we give people a Nothing Personal pick of the day? I think we did it at the end of last hour, but that was so many minutes ago that my brain is fried. So let's just pretend that we haven't. Vikings minus 1.5 over the Bears and the Mariners over the Cardinals. Those are the picks of the day. Thank you for that. I was very focused on so many things this weekend, to say the least. You got baseball we're September. We're almost mid-September. We're getting toward the end of late. We are in the middle part of late. When that season starts, it's early. Don't worry, everything's fine. It's like the end of week 1 in the NFL. It's early. It's not early in baseball. You want to have meaningful games in September very badly, and it's fun to watch September games. That's for sure. You got to watch week 1 of NFL football. I watched the U.S. Open as well. You feel overwhelmed by the gratitude you have that you have all these great sports that you can watch that are just fun to watch, because it's like watching a play develop right in front of you. You're watching Act 1, Act 2, the denouement. You're watching the epilogue, the prologue. You're seeing what is going to be. And every once in a while, you watch a game and you see something and you say, haven't seen that before. And what you expect is that it's on the field. There's a bunch of stuff going on off the field that I want to mention to you because I am frustrated. Did you see Marlins Park? Now, maybe I'm the only one watching Marlins Park because it's Marlins Park and I have an emotional attachment to Marlins Park. Obviously, given the fact that I was around for when it was created and when it was built and when it was opened. At Marlins Park, the Marlins were playing the Phillies during this weekend. And man, something went viral. And in my old days, I would have been thrilled to see it. But in my new capacity as the host of Nothing Personal, I sort of got a little sick in my mouth. Not because the Marlins were getting attention, because there are people who do this. A foul ball went into the stands, and a home run went into the stands in Marlins Park. So Marlins Park, it's section, we numbered those sections. There was something that used to be called the home run porch. I don't know if they call that anymore. And then we had special sections where the Clevelander used to be, because we wanted the ability for fans to have home run balls. So there were some in the upper deck, but only in right field. And that would have to be done by someone who we had on our team who had the ability to do that. But anyway, so look at the video of what happens when a ball goes into the stands on a home run. Check this out. That is Phillies fans at Marlins Park, where a woman claims that a man took the ball, and then the woman took the ball, and now the woman's Karen. I will admit that I had to figure out for myself that her name wasn't Karen, and I've seen on the internet people be called Karen, and I was under the mistaken impression, I thought that Karen had some sort of racial undertones, but this was two people, a man and a woman, two white people who were duking it out. There was a kid involved, etc. To make a long story short, there was a bit of a PR problem for the Phillies and the Marlins, and they both took care of it in the perfect way. Why the Marlins? It was at their ballpark. Why the Phillies? It was people wearing their jerseys, which, by the way, used to frustrate me. I loved the fact that they would buy tickets to come to Marlins Park, but I did not like when there was a takeover of our home ballpark, which wasn't hard to do. But it happens in other sports with other teams, so I shouldn't have let it bother me the way I did, but I did. What interests me about that is the decision-making that happens because we're ready for it as a front office. There are things that we practice in a front office with our game day employees. There are things that we practice with our front office employees regarding customer service. There's training regarding customer service. This training is done by everyone from the team president down to the assistant to the traveling secretary. And this training is meant to empower you to change the experience of a customer. It is such a simple yet overlooked part of customer service. What frustrates you the most as a customer? When something happens to you and you go to someone who you believe has the power to change it, make it better, and that person says, sorry, there's nothing I can do. And you say, how can that be? You're wearing the name tag. One of the things that I love to do was empower my people in concessions, empower my people in marketing, empower my people in sales. You've got the ability to look at a situation, evaluate it, make a decision, and make it better. You're a sales guy and you're down with a client who wants to cancel season tickets because the team stinks and their favorite player wasn't playing today. Go get them a ball signed by their favorite player. We do those signings in advance. Every spring training, every player signs a gazillion things, and we have it in inventory to be used when there's a situation that we feel requires it. When you've got a fan who's a kid and you're trying to build your fan base, and yes, he's a Phillies fan, but maybe he's from Florida. Maybe he'll become a Marlins fan. Maybe he won't, but his kids will become a Marlins fan in 30 years, and the streak of generations rooting for a team other than their hometown team will disappear. Maybe. The franchise is not young anymore, 32 years old, but that said, it happens. But when you're the Marlins and you're empowered, which Bruce Sherman has done to his people, you go right up to that person and you give them a gift immediately. You give them a signed ball. You give them some swag. You may give them seats to another game. You may invite them onto the field for BP. You do something because you do not want to miss an opportunity to come out looking like a hero when an audience member or fan member has teed it up for you this easily. If there is a place that's dangerous at Marlins Park and something bad would happen, we would immediately have a film crew ready to go, filming a kid making a memory in that spot, not getting hit in the head by a ball, not getting bowled over, getting to the concession line to get ice cream. Whatever the case is, we were ready to go. Practiced it, ready. When you're the visiting team, we have that taken care of too. Our traveling secretary, when we're a visiting team, knows that if there's something that goes on during the course of a game and I give the call or you see it yourself, you have the ability to go to the player and get the meet and greet taken care of the way Harrison Bader did a meet and greet with the kid at the tunnel level of Marlins Park and gave him a signed bat. We've got the inventory in play to do things like that on every road trip, every home game. Because imagine if you're hearing this for the first time, the memory that that kid now has. Forget losing the ball to someone not named Karen, but you just got to meet a major league player. You got to go where no one's allowed to go, right outside the clubhouse, and you got a signed bat that will give you a story forever, not a day, not a week, not a month, not a year, forever. That bat will be with that kid in every place that kid lives forever. One moment. That's all it took. And a lifetime connection was formed. A lot of times, Coca, it's like blowing into the wind. A lot of times where people don't really understand that perspective. But I'll keep blowing into the wind no matter what Bob tells me to do, because the truth of the matter is, if you have an opportunity to make a difference with one person, just one, every day, it's a hell of a day. Hamstrings are bad. You know that. My hamstring. Did you know, Coco, when I went on Survivor, my hamstring was bad, but I didn't tell anyone? Now, that is not an excuse for why I was voted off first. It's not an excuse for why I couldn't lift the damn crate wheelbarrow. It was so heavy, I had no strength, hadn't eaten or had anything other than coconut water in 3 days. But I digress with excuses. My hamstring is just hurting a little bit. It's a little pulley. Like it's not torn, but it's pulling just a tad, like a strain 1, grade 1 strain. Luckily, I'm not playing for the Philadelphia Phillies. Did you see that in that game, Trea Turner, the guy who's totally come back from his struggles of last season before the standing ovation and is now again one of the best players in baseball, that Trea Turner, the shortstop who is a vacuum cleaner at shortstop and can hit home runs for power, for average drive-in runs, has speed, that Trea Turner, yeah, that's the one. People forget, oh, he's just another $300 million guy. I'm making that up, Coca. Is he a $300 million guy? I believe he is. Trea Turner, maybe it was 270, 280 when he signed. Either way, you can look it up. Not now. I could look it up right now if I had to. I could even ask. Trea Turner contract Phillies. We're going to get it right now. I mean, how great is this? Nope, nothing doing. Nothing. Trea Turner contract Phillies. Come on, give me something. Do you want me to use ChatGPT? No, I want the answer. Forget it. Trea Turner got pulled from the game with a hamstring issue. Remember when last season he had a hamstring issue and he missed 6 weeks? Remember when I told you that hamstrings on players are a real problem, not just because of they have speed, but no matter what, if they're just grip it and rip it pit players who just get down on the knob and do nothing like Schwarber, a bad hamstring for Schwarber would be a problem. A bad hamstring for any baseball player, pitcher or position player, is second to pitchers' shoulders and elbows. So when I would get a call from our trainer or GM with the injury of the day, the word I'm listening for is pitcher, elbow, shoulder. Because you know it's DL, you know it's at least a month, maybe 2, likely for the season. Totally bad. The other one, when you get the call and they say the name and you're like, that's a position player in your head, so you feel pretty good. And then they say hamstring. Nope, not good. Not good. Trea Turner leads the National League in hits and batting average right now, and the Phillies are holding on to their lead over the hapless Mets, and they're going to win the division. It would take an epic collapse for them not to win the division. That said, being without Trea Turner stinks. And their manager, who purportedly could be on the ever so getting warmer seat if they blow their lead to the Mets or get eliminated in their first playoff round, Rob Thompson said, there's some concern there. Obviously, he's having a great year, a big part of the ball club. I want to keep people healthy, especially coming down the stretch. We'll know more tomorrow. I'm sorry to point this out to all of you Philly fans, but you already know. We didn't wait when there was a hamstring issue. Get him in the tube. Get me the reading this second. I'm not waiting till tomorrow. What am I going to sit on pins and needles? What am I going to have a player just on the taxi squad fly him in from our AAA team ready to go? Come on. I want to know as soon as it can be known. It's not one of those things where, oh, we've got to wait for inflammation to go out of the hamstring, and then we'll take a proper picture. Horse hockey, make the picture, take it, show me the tear, give me the grade, then I'll know how long he's out. But we're going to find out here shortly. But Trea Turner, hamstring, September 8th, that's it. I don't think Trea Turner will play again in the regular season, and they will try to get him to come back healthy for their first round in the playoffs. That's at best when you are a player like Trea Turner and you have hurt your hamstring again. I don't ever want to take Japanese players for granted. You know, because I've told you the story of Ichiro. I've told you the travels I've done to be with Ichiro, to watch him get the honors that he's gotten this particular season. But there's a thing about, and there is a unique trait about Japanese players that I always underestimated until I lived with Ichiro and watched it firsthand. They are very routine oriented. Baseball is a great game for those who have a routine. If you've got a player like Senga of the Mets who has a routine that includes pitching every 5 days, starting pitcher, in between games, in between starts, he does the same thing on the same day, day +1, light toss, day +2, back on the rubber. Day +1, eat 2 bananas and a rice cake and a malted milkshake. Whatever the case is, he's got his routine down. The Mets have a problem. The Mets' problem is they don't want Senga taking the ball for them anymore because he stinks. This is the same Senga who I told you was an all-star with the Mets. We told you that he started off this season unhittable. And now he is more than hittable. But what the Mets did this weekend, I could not believe. They optioned Senga to the minor leagues. Now, they're allowed to. Only if the player gives permission. The rule before you're on the roster, the rule before you have a certain number of years in the big leagues or attained a certain age, you can get sent up, brought back, sent down, brought up, sent down, stayed down. Now you're up injury. Stay up 1 game, back down, back up, 15 games, 2 weeks plus, back down. We used to call that the express players. The express players revolves around a group of players who spend the year, they're on the list, and you know what the list is going into spring training. You know which guys have options left. You know which guys do not. And so you keep a list, and you know that that's going to be your express train back and forth when we need backup, when we need help. The Mets never contemplated that they would be sending Senga down to the minor leagues. It never occurred to them they would exercise an option, which they, of course, had available to them. You only get a certain number of years that you can be sent back and forth. After that, you get to be a free agent or you get to be claimed by another team. The thing with Senga is he's so bad now that the Mets felt there was no other way to do it, but they needed to talk to him. Do you remember we covered this on a show? And what they said is, hey, we got to try to work something out because we know he knows we got to be better. Then we come to discover that Senga likes his routine, that he would rather be starting in the minor leagues than bullpenning in the big leagues. I'm not sure that I've never, as a matter of fact, never have I ever seen a player choose to go to the minor leagues. Yeah, I just drank. You know why? Because now I have. And his name is Senga. Why would he have given permission to be optioned? And then David Stearns talked about it. And he said, Kodai Senga has a very set routine. He feels very confident in his routine. And so a role transition at this point didn't feel like the right thing to do for either party. A role transition, you mean getting kicked out of the rotation and put in the bullpen? Is that the role transition you're talking about? How about a demotion? Now, a demotion to the bullpen is way easier to swallow than a demotion to AAA to keep working on your craft to try to figure out how to get hitters out. The thing about Senga, when you've got a guaranteed deal and there's no split contract, which there isn't with Senga, he's getting paid his major league rate in the big leagues. It's not like they needed a roster spot, which in theory, it's a limited roster in September, but still expanded. Maybe they wanted to not waste a spot on Senga if he's not going to take the ball every 5 days or pitch out of the bullpen, because he said he won't pitch out of the bullpen because he likes his routine. Well, Senga, how do you feel about going down to AAA and starting a few games? You're going to love the spread because you're going to have to buy it. You're going to love the transportation because you're going to want your own private plane. But I got to tell you, it's going to be so good for you. We'll bring you back. Don't you worry. You're going to be with us ready to roll come playoff time. But in the meantime, do you mind going to AAA? My experience tells me the players do not like that. They don't like the per diem of $70 a day. They don't like riding on buses. They don't like flying coach at all. And all of a sudden, that's where Senga finds himself. So the Mets had to make it clear, however inappropriate it may be, the Mets had to make it clear that Senga was all in on this decision. Because the rumors were when it was happening, Senga was like, I don't know if I'm going to accept, I'm not sure. I would have been stronger and said, not. You want to send me to AAA? No, thank you. Put me in the bullpen. Use me when you can. I'll throw sides and sim games. Don't worry. I'll be sharp. You'll be fine. I ain't going to AAA. Well, he ended up going. We better get the word out. We got to get the word out, Coca. The word has got to get out that everything is fine with the Mets and Senga. And so they did. Andy Martino came out and said the relationship between Senga and the Mets is in very good shape. He was included in the discussions about the option, which should last 2 starts depending on how he does, per league sources. I have a funny one when writers use league sources. Do you know the league sources that could give you information about Senga's, what his role will be in AAA? Wait for it. None of them. When you say league source, I'm thinking commissioner's office, or I'm thinking executive for another team. If it's an employee of the team and the team is the only one who would know the plan for Senga, what they're looking for, what they need before he comes back, then you'd have to say it's team source. But the reason why writers don't write in team source is if I read team source and I'm like, one of the members of my team is leaking, I'm going to find out. I'm going to do some serious crypto espionage and figure out who's leaking the information. So let's just go league source. You do not have to give permission to anybody to bring back a player who's out on option. The league doesn't know who's going to be recalled every day at all. The league knows a lot of stuff. Don't get me wrong, Rob Manfred, he's on the case. But in this case, I found that to be a very, very bizarre statement by the Mets president of baseball operations. We'll find out what happens. But either way, the fact that Senga admitted and allowed for his struggles to be made this public, of course he's seen the results. Of course he's seen his bloated ERA in July and August. I get that. But my answer would be, man, we're going to work this out a different way. We're going to be fine. We cannot in any way send me to the minor leagues. But Senga was optioned. Did you see the Pirates yesterday, Coca? When we give you a wait to see and tell you we're going to revisit it, we're going to revisit it, whether it's a no or a yes. It's already in public at davidsamsonpodcast.com. We told you that Bubba Chandler was going to start a game. Bubba Chandler, Paul Skeens' right-hand man, the 1-2 punch that makes 29 teams jealous with a capital G for green with envy. Well, on August 21st, 2025, we said Bubba Chandler will start a game this season, and he did yesterday, and it was bad. Are they surprised that he went 2 2/3 and gave up 9 runs against the Brewers? We said the minute they brought him up, what are they doing? When you bring up your number 1 pitching prospect, you bring him up to start. You don't bring him up to relieve. You don't stick him in the bullpen, put him in the second inning after not nearly enough warm-up, and then wonder why there was no production. And now that there's no production, he's in a bit of a panic mode because then when he starts and he gets his full routine, he gives it up. 9 hits, 9 runs, 2 2/3. What do you do if you're the Pirates? You screwed it up so badly. Leave it be. Give him the ball again in 4 days. What I would do is if he starts another game and he does well, I would make that be his last start of the season. The Pirates are not in a race. They don't need to throw out and use more bullets for any of their top guys. Frankly, I'd be shutting Skeens down, though they want to get him to Cy Young, but I'd be shutting Skeens down. I'd be shutting Bubba Chandler down. I am saving my innings for a rainy day because the rainy day is coming next March. It's 7 months away. It's not a year. It's 7 months away when you have a chance to start again. And believe me, the Pirates have the pitching to start again. I do feel badly for Chandler. I made a mistake yesterday, and I'm good with it. I really am. I think it's totally fine for you to catch me on my mistakes because I'm going to correct them. We do a correction segment when something needs correcting. I did a segment on Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, the head coach of the UNC Tar Heels. Bill Belichick dating the younger woman who's 24 or 29 to his 74. Bill Belichick, who all of a sudden is all excited on the beach doing yoga, then goes to do a football game, coaches, and looks like the grumpy old men of days past, years past, decades past. We talked about it a little bit, but we also talked about that he was being so petty, and this made news everywhere, that if you are a New England Patriots staff member or scout, you are not allowed on property. You are not allowed to be a part of what North Carolina is doing. And I told you on the show, that's not true. Nobody's allowed. The Patriots are being treated like everyone, and they're all being treated ridiculously, like Bill Belichick has the keys to the codes. But I was wrong. He is singling out the Patriots. He is being petty and ridiculous. Listen to what Bill Belichick said when asked about not letting the Patriots staff in his facility.
Yeah, well, no, it's clear that I'm not welcome there around their facility, and so they're not welcome in ours. Pretty simple.
That is pretty simple, Billy boy. I love that. You're not nice to me. I'm not going to be nice to you. What happened to doing the right thing? You were mean to me. I'm going to be mean to you. There's a lot of reactive emotions out there, aren't there? A lot of. Hey, I feel wronged by you, so I'm going to wrong someone you love. That's what half the movies in the world are made of. You wronged me, now I'm going to wrong you. We'll call it even. Well, wait a minute. I didn't cut your ears off. Yes, my view of even and yours is different. My view of even is you're dead and deaf. These things happen. I got it wrong. Bill Belichick is being petty and ridiculous. I'm not welcome there, so they're not welcome here. Really? Really? What are the recent MVP odds after the weekend, Coca? Is Ohtani still running away with it? Like a minus 2,000? I don't know who would be close to him. Schwarber? I don't think so. On the assumption, he is minus 10,000. I'd say that the Schwab has no chance, and it's done. Shohei Ohtani is going to win another MVP. Well, he did something on Friday that makes me love him even more. Tyler Glasnow was getting ready to pitch Friday for the Dodgers. He got scratched due to some back issues. They're saying he'll be fine, which is what we've all been saying about Glasnow, and he's never fine. The guy gets hurt more than my feelings. And they went to Shohei Ohtani to start the game. That means that Shohei Ohtani was told maybe the night before if Glasnow's back was hurting the day before, or maybe it's the day of. Knock, knock. Hey, Shohei, it's not Ippei. I just want to tell you, pitch tonight. Let's go. And Ohtani's like, okay, smiles and does it. What an assassin. Truly, truly unbelievable. So he was called in to pitch on Friday. I like when they said about Tyler Glasnow, it's his back, but it's no big deal. It's not going to be long, maybe a couple days. Tyler Glasnow is lucky if he doesn't get put on the injured list, and lucky that it's September because there's no reason to use the injured list anymore because your rosters are a bit expanded. But maybe you do it so you're not tempted to play him. You put him on that injured list. What an absolute disaster for the Dodgers. Truly. it occurred to me that the Dodgers and what they have and the way they're playing, is it good enough? Especially with the Padres, who are so hot on their tail. The Dodgers have been a complete disaster the last 10 days, and the Padres took this opportunity to have a terrible 10 days also. So the Padres, while they're a game out of the National League West, had an opportunity to be up 2 or up 3 games and could not put together a winning streak when it mattered for them. But they're very, very much in it. Kudos to Ohtani for taking the ball, and I mean that. I want to talk about the U.S. Open, which I don't need to say. 4-8-6-9. Carlos Alcaraz is so good that when I watch John McEnroe, do you know who Alvarez is? Do you know, right behind me, Carlos Alvarez was the mayor in Miami. Thank you. Why is that in my head? He was the mayor who got our stadium deal done with me. All right, do it again. After the break, oh no, there's no break. Here we go. 4-8-6-9. When you watch Carlos Alcaraz play tennis, and if you watched him play Djokovic, and then you watch him just destroy Jannik Sinner in the finals yesterday, are you thinking to yourself that at 22 years old with 6 major titles, that you're looking at a possibility of someone who could break Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic's numbers? Who could win in the 20s? Djokovic, who has 11 majors after being 30 years old. Alcaraz won't be 30 for 8 years. But when you watch him play and you've watched the other matches and it leads to a 1v2 again, Sinner v. Alcaraz, do you realize that you're watching people who are doing a sport in a way that has never been done before? There have been some big servers before. There's been some good defenders, good returners. Andre Agassi. There's been some unbelievable serve and volley players, John McEnroe. There's been some deadly ground stroke guys, Yvonne Lendl, all of it. Some very fast serving guys, Roscoe Tanner. Somehow they all got together and had a baby. And his name is Carlos Alcaraz. There is not one part of his game that is weak. He is faster than the fastest. He's got bigger shot selection, more court coverage. He has a serve to die for that is practically impossible to return. He can come up to net, stay back. He can do a drop shot, come up and get a drop shot because of his speed. If you are facing Carlos Alcaraz, you are saying to yourself, God, I remember his quote from Nothing Personal. I remember it so well. Him saying that it may not be worth it. He may not be happy. Please, if you are the number 2, number 3, number 4 player, or any man who feels like I've got a chance, I'd like to have a chance to win a Grand Slam for crying out loud, you got to hope that Alcaraz walks away young. He doesn't look like it, though. He looks like he's just begun, Karen. We've only just begun. And to see Sinner against Alcaraz, I don't know if you did this, Coca, but I did the multi-screen viewing. I had the red zone going, so I got 3 games plus the red zone on a TV. I got the iPad going, bigger screen. It's watching a baseball game. And I got the phone going, smaller screen, as I'm watching football. Because I want to see the tennis. But then when tennis goes to commercial between games, I do the switch. Put the tennis on the phone, put the football on the TV, and I'm fine until I remember, my God, I've been on football a little long. And then I go back and I've missed a game of the tennis because it was small and I wasn't paying attention because I got 3 screens open and I'm paying attention to nothing instead of everything. Very, very, very frustrating. I don't know if I'm the only one. Am I? Does anyone else go through this, or is it just me? Well, the men's match, something happened there that people are using incorrectly on social media and maybe in mainstream media. Donald Trump was at the game. President Donald Trump was at the game. And people were complaining that the match started a half hour late because of security and that there were lines outside. People were not in their seats. And people who are liberally tilted use the lines outside the U.S. Open as, oh my God, what a jerk the president is. I can't believe how selfish he is to go to a game. Stop. You know me. I'm happy to criticize anything that I think is wrong. Any side of the aisle, any side of the argument. If you hear me making an argument, it's because I believe it in my heart. You don't know where I stand politically because I may stand everywhere. I may stand nowhere. I may stand on 2 feet with 4-inch heels. I'll tell you where I stand about Trump going to the U.S. Open. Outstanding to have a sitting president go to a sporting event. Yes, it's inconvenient for the 20,000 people, but he didn't sneak up on you. He said he was coming. You get there super early. You're the USTA. You want to have more entry points, more people. Not allowed. Secret Service, keep people funneled. Keep it so we don't have so many entries where I have to look around and look at everybody. Let everybody funnel right here where the Secret Service is. It's the cost of doing business. And I love that cost. When you wait in line or sit in traffic, 99 out of 100 times, it's your fault. It's your fault for leaving the wrong time, for sitting in rush hour traffic. Sometimes you have to. That doesn't make it not your fault. Waiting online to get into an event because the security is so much stronger, because the president's there and you know it en avance. Not my problem. Not my fault. The whole concept of booing a president, to be expected. When the president is going to be a character in his own musical or is going to be a character in this thing called life, is going to be a villain to some, a hero to some, that is the plight of the top echelon of politicians. Wear it. Don't hide. People are saying, oh, Trump left early. Wanted to avoid traffic. You're welcome, because even short of a helicopter, if you leave the U.S. Open at the wrong time, there can be all the police escorts you want. They've got to get people out of the way. It takes time. You leave early, police escort, Secret Service, boom, you're done. You're back in D.C. or wherever he went before anyone can say Ipswich. I didn't have a problem with Donald Trump going to the tennis match. I had the problem with people reacting as though the reason they hate Donald Trump is valid, and by transitive property of hate, they can hate the fact that he's inconveniencing people and going to a tennis match. That is so attenuated. It's so flimsy. I could rip it with my teeth, and I don't use my teeth to do anything because I'm too scared of losing them. It's true. I've got a teeth thing, Coca. I definitely do. I watched on Saturday Sabalenka beat Anisimova. Anisimova, remember we did a show with her, the U.S. person, the U.S. tennis player. She took a leave of absence, then came back and lost love and love at the Wimbledon final. Well, guess what? She came back, made it back to the final of another major, and lost to Sabalenka. But you know what? Nothing to be ashamed of. Only something to be proud of for her. Do you know that in the 4 Grand Slams in tennis, there's 8 slots? You know this, right? Because there's 2 finalists times 4 majors. Yes, Australian, French, Wimbledon, U.S. Open. Stay with me. 4 tournaments, 4 finals matches, 2 people per. That's 8 maximum people. Do you know how many men were part of Grand Slam finals this year? 3, not 8, because Sinner and Alcaraz kept doing it. Of course, Zverev snuck into one of the finals. Do you know how many women participated in the 4 Grand Slam finals when the maximum can be 8? They had 5 different women. 5 different women make it to a final of a major. That is a level of parity that has not existed and is the dream of all the economic models trying to extract public money. But in the U.S. Open's case, they got the money already, and they got the chance. Sabalenka, however, prevailed, so she's now repeated for the first time since Serena Williams did over 10 years ago. Don't sleep on her. She's good. I know just how to punish someone. Angel Reese got punished this weekend. You know Angel Reese, the WNBA player. You know her, of course. Chicago. Remember, she plays for the Sky. When the Sky would play the Fever, it'd be Clark against Reese. The rivalry, it's done. No one even cares anymore because Caitlin Clark is injured and so good when she's not. And Angel Reese is just Angel Reese. Always was. It's a bit of a piece of mediocrity. But what the Chicago Sky did to her is laughable. You see, Angela Reese had some statements that were not exactly, how shall I say this? They weren't good for the morale of the team. The Chicago Sky had a quote. They came up with this statement all on their own, it would have to be. The Chicago Sky values the safety, respect, and well-being of every player. Few, thankfully. We are committed to accountability so our players can stay focused on playing basketball. Okay. I guess that's your statement. What'd you do? They suspended Angel Reese for conduct not becoming a player on a team, for conduct and statements detrimental to the team. Do you know how long she was suspended? This is a true story. Coca's my witness. One half. One half of what? A season? One half a month? One half a week? What does that mean? One half of a game. I can't. When I read it, I literally couldn't. Her punishment because of statements detrimental to the team during a league-mandated media session. Her punishment is she will not play the first half of the game on September 7th against the Las Vegas Aces. OMG. That's the punishment? Does that punishment fit the crime? Does that motivate people? I'm going to be careful. I'm going to be a good sport here. I would hate to miss the first 3 quarters of a game. Is it just me? It may just be me, Coca. I found it to be lenient. I found it to be ineffective. I found it to be embarrassing. But luckily, the WNBA is all over it. Do you know what the league can't do for the same? It's sort of like, do you know what double jeopardy is, Coca? Double jeopardy is you can't be tried for the same crime twice. That's sort of the general rule of what double jeopardy is. When there is a result, that's the result. That's the result. Hard stop. Hey, let's try it again for a different result. No, you don't get to do that. It's called double jeopardy. When you're acquitted of a crime, you're acquitted. That's it. You're free as a bird. I don't know why that was just in my head, Coca. I don't even know what we were just talking about. I literally have no idea. I know we were talking Angel Reese, but why was I talking about acquitted, convicted, suspension, the league, team, half? What does it mean? Forget it. I can't. A half? Did you see her comments? Calling out her teammates. I mean, calling them out in a way you don't do. All right. Are you watching this show on the Nothing Person with David Samson YouTube channel? If you are, you may have noticed something different today. If you're listening, you haven't noticed it at all. But yes, after a couple of months, I got a haircut yesterday. So my hair is back to where you may be used to seeing it if you see me on video or you watch this show every day. The reason I got a haircut is that I got the news this weekend that the play that I had tried out for, I did not get the role. And I wanted to just mention it to you because I am disappointed. I'm upset. I was growing my hair out to look like someone living in the 70s. I was growing my hair out to look like I could be 25 or 30 years old. I made it. I auditioned for a part in an off-Broadway play. I got called back. Then I got called back, and I was in the running. I was studying the script. I was ready to begin rehearsals tomorrow. Would not have impacted the show, but rehearsals are all day, 6 days a week for 3 weeks. And a call came in Friday. And a call came in with the information from those in charge that they had gone another direction. They actually said that. I said, that's my line. That's what I say when we fire managers. We've gone a different direction. When we fire staff, GMs, anybody. They said, we've made the offer to another actor. And I said, another actor? That means you think I'm an actor. Outstanding. I said that to myself. But it was 12:44 p.m. on Friday. The conversation lasted till 12:47 p.m. on Friday. And in those 3 minutes, what got taken away from me is what I've been working so hard to achieve. I wanted to star in this play. I wanted to have that experience. And now I'm not. So you know what I did Friday, Coca? I sulked. Now, you may not know this about Coca. You may not know this about the relationship we have off the court, on the court. He called me and he said, how are you? And I didn't take any calls that I'd gotten that particular day on Friday, but I took his. And he tried to explain to me, you're a winner anyway. You tried something that people wouldn't try. You went for it. And what I explained to Coca and what I explained to myself during the course of the weekend is that the feeling I had at 12:45 Friday for a 3-minute phone call that I had into Friday that crept up on Saturday and yesterday and is creeping up again right now is the feeling of failure, the feeling of the tummy ache of I cannot believe how disappointed and upset I am and angry that I didn't succeed. And you know what? I love it. I love how I feel because the way I feel having failed allows me to feel the way I feel when I succeed. Because if you don't have the frame of reference, then what do you have? If you don't have a willingness to feel like crap, how can you feel great? If you don't have a desire to feel success, then how can you legislate against feeling failure? I want to feel success, so I have to feel failure. I want to feel great, so I have to feel like crap. I want to feel excited, so I have to feel despondent. I want to grow my hair, so then I get the haircut. I didn't expect to be getting a haircut till December. As I was sitting there yesterday, Coca, having the buzzer go to my head and getting the part back in the hair that I love to get shaved in there, I can't help but have thought to myself, why? Why do I choose to do this? Why do I choose to make myself feel so badly, so disappointed in myself, so much like a failure? Why not just be down the middle? And the answer is very simple for me because I love asking the question. The answer is that I am addicted to both sides. I'm addicted to the feeling I get when I have a good show, that I get when I have a good day, I get when I get something done that I want to get done, when I've succeeded at a goal, a project, whether it's cleaning your room or running a marathon or finishing an Ironman or getting a part on Broadway, off Broadway, whatever it is, I'm addicted to that. And I want to feed my addiction. And one of the things that feeds the addiction is the failure. One of the things that feeds the addiction is the feeling. I'm in. Am I happy today? Am I totally over it? No. It was like a moment when I put the script away. I put my headshots away. I put everything away, my schedule. I started changing what I'm able to do over the next 3 months when I was not going to be able to do any of the things that I had planned. Now they're all back in play. And the reason why I tell you about it is I want you to join me. I want you to take the risk of the stomachache. I want you to take the risk of the failure. I want you to feel the success. It doesn't have to be a success that's known worldwide or it's public. It can be the success in your brain. It can be the success in a moment that's alone or with one other person. I want you to go for that. Because if you go for that, then I am guaranteeing you that you're going to get delivered the other. If you want to feel the exhilaration of being a Ravens fan and winning a Super Bowl and watching an MVP, then you gotta feel like you felt last night when something happens that never happens. The feelings that we have, it's just business. We'll be back tomorrow. This is nothing personal.